أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ورضي الله تعالى عن السادة التابعين وعلماء العاملين وأئمة الأربعة المجتهدين ومقلدين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته everyone. Alhamdulillah, we begin with the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, and we send a complete peace and blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as well as his family and his companions. Pray that Allah is pleased with the elite from among the Tabi'een, the right acting scholars, the four Mujtahid Imams, and all of those who follow them until the day of judgment. Ameen. Alhamdulillah, as you can see from your screen, alhamdulillah, I am back in the United States. Alhamdulillah, back at home. Alhamdulillah, I made it safe back from the Gambia a day later than I intended, but alhamdulillah, we're here. My schedule, my flight schedule, I was scheduled to be back here Monday night, Monday evening. But a lot of times with these airlines, customer service stinks. I mean, there used to be some types of businesses and institutions where customer service was always, even if the company stunk, at least they had good customer service. But because of COVID, that's given everybody an excuse to have terrible customer service. The bigger the company, I'm talking about even government institutions, local, state, and federal. It's hard to get people on the phone. So with my situation, I tried to make a change to my ticket, and the change was made. But something in their computer system, me going in and making that change messed everything up. So when I get to the airport, they're telling me that my ticket is not confirmed. I'm like, ticket not confirmed? What are you talking about? And so that one change I made to a portion of my return trip messed up everything. So this is why I get back a day later. And to get to Gambia is not easy. Getting to Gambia is like getting to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, even though the word international is in the name of the airport, I think they should take the name international out of the name of Pittsburgh Airport. It should just be Pittsburgh Airport. It shouldn't be Pittsburgh International Airport. I guess because they got flights going to Canada. And I think British Airways got like one or two flights a day coming here. They qualify for international. Other than that, it's barely national. There's hardly a direct flight from Pittsburgh anywhere. Gambia is like that. You can hardly find a direct flight from Gambia anywhere. So basically, to travel to or from Gambia from the United States, you're traveling for like 24 hours. Give or take a few hours. Heavy on the give. if you look for flights to or from Gambia from the United States, you're going to see flight times or travel times anywhere from 22 hours to 40, 50 hours, literally. So, on a good end, 24 hours worth of traveling. Alhamdulillah. But alhamdulillah, we're back. And so we intended to finish this section of Beyond Bilal and then get back to Umdatu Bayan, and we're in the middle of the fiqh section of that book. So inshallah, we're going to finish this section and then go back to Umdatu Bayan. And who we have in the building here? Fatima Burke, Fatima Muhammad, y'all first two in the building, giving salams right next to each other. Now I'm really feeling normal and at home. Alhamdulillah. Khadija, Imari, Jackie, Imad, Mariam, Asia, Anthony, Khadija, the other Khadija, some sister named Samira, Miss Joanne, Nathaniel, all of you, wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and Hakeem, wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm glad you all are joining us. Don't forget to share the video, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Samira.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wow, you sound different, like clear.
Cause you're not on that Gambian network.
But if you think about it, at least we were able to have class. We ain't have to do you do the class, or did I call you on WhatsApp? And we ain't had to do that most of the time.
True.
Alhamdulillah.
If you think about it, yeah, we did good this time.
So the network wasn't as bad as it could be. It could have been. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Aisha, Hassan Ali, Bilal, and Muhammad. Alhamdulillah. So I don't know if you remember where we left off at, but we left off on page number 107. And before we move right along in the text, let's begin by reciting Al-Fatiha and asking that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give the reward of that recitation over to the author of this book, Muhammad Mustafa uh, Briggs, for benefiting us with this huge benefit. Alhamdulillah. Okay, Bismillah, take it away.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi wa salama tasliman. Alhamdulillahi wa kafa wa salamu ala ibadihi alladhina istafa. Amma ba'd. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, I seek refuge in Allah from the rejected shaitan. May Allah bless our master, Sayyidina Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, companions, and give them peace. All praise is due to Allah, for he is sufficient for us. Peace be upon his slaves, whom he has chosen. As to what follows. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everyone. And wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everyone that's given the greetings. And we're on page 107, like the Imam said. Masina. Bismillah. Messina was founded around 1400 by the Fulani and continued to be ruled by a number of kings until the 1800s, when the Messina Empire was established by Sheikh Ahmadu Lobo, also known as Sekou Ahmadu, in the Mopti region of the modern-day Mali. He was a student of the famous Malian scholar Mukhtar al-Kunti and was ethnically a Fulani. He was a religious scholar himself and devoted his time to teaching and preaching, most of which he did in a village near Dijenne in
Say
Mali.
Jenny is almost like the D and the J. You kind of like blend it and basically say it like almost like an English J.
Jenne in modern day Mali. When his teaching produced a large following, he was expelled and moved to Sebera near Messina, where he attracted an even larger following and was again expelled by jealous political rulers. Thereafter, Sheikh Uthman bin Fodio, who founded the Sokoto Caliphate in Hausaland in 1809, authorized him to carry out jihad in the region to defend himself and his students from the constant political attacks. And he did so, founding his own empire in the region and expanding it until it dominated most of the Fulani regions of Mali,
This
including
is extremely important too because you see a thread running through all of these kingdoms and empires and scholars and rulers. Not only were there's always some type of connection, even when they exist in different time periods, but even when they exist in different places, but at the same time, you see that they were connected. Like you mentioned, Mukhtar al-Kunti. Mukhtar al-Kunti was also connected to the Shehu, and the Shehu and him would interact with each other through an intermediary, right? And so Mukhtar al-Kunti also put their stamp of approval on the Shehu, and this is mentioned a lot as well. So yeah, go ahead.
Bismillah, including Messina Kingdom. He established his capital in a village he named Hamdullahi, where he ruled as al-Mami from 1818 until his death in 1845. During his reign, he commissioned the construction of 600 madrasas, banned alcohol and tobacco in his territories, and constructed a social welfare system to provide for widows, orphans, and the poor.
I want to drop a little jewel on y'all, and I hope y'all paying attention because I'm going to be vague about it. We have an opportunity to create the environments that we want, which are conducive to Islam. We have a unique opportunity to do that, inshallah. And and I just thought about this based upon what was mentioned here. See, what a lot of us who never really left uh, America for the most part, we don't realize how much the government controls almost every aspect of our life. We don't really realize it because we were brought up in it. It's not till you go to some places in the Muslim world and you realize that in a lot of other places, the government don't care what you do on a local. And so one of the things that I peeped, like for example, decades ago when I went to Sudan, is that, for example, the Sudanese government, that's just one example. There's many other examples. They basically towns and villages are run based upon whatever methodology the founder of the village was on. So if the founder of the village was a Maliki and he adhered to or whatever tariqa and the spiritual path, that's what that village is known for. And that's what's running that village. And you find to lesser or more, or even a more to more of a degree, the same thing a lot throughout West Africa. And so I'm saying that we have an opportunity really to establish those things that we see we are lacking in our environments. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Adam and Abdullah. Continue.
Bismillah. Tukulur. The Tukulur Empire was established by the Senegalese warrior and religious scholar Sheikh Omar Futi Tall, who was a native of Futa, Toro, and was born in the Fulani village of Halwa in 1794.
This is extremely important. And Fututoro, we read about it already a few empires back. And he's an extremely important individual. And for all of our brothers and sisters who are going on the Gambian tour, you're going to visit some places that are connected with it. Continue.
Bismillah. He left Futa to travel to Mecca on pilgrimage, where he became a disciple of the Moroccan scholar Sheikh Mohammed al-Ghali, himself a disciple of Sheikh Ahmed Tijani. Sheikh Omar stayed with him for many years in the Hijaz before returning to West Africa via Egypt, where he spent a brief period exchanging knowledge with the scholars of Al-Azhar University. Upon his return to West Africa, he spent nearly 5 years in the Sokoto Caliphate during the reign of Mohammed Bello, the son of Sheikh Uthman Den Fodio, who not only patronized him but gave him his daughter in marriage.
See, this is extremely important here. Check this out. Sheikh Umar Futi went to visit the Sokoto Caliphate, right? I believe his intention was to meet the Shehu, but the Shehu had already died. Now his son, Muhammad Bello, Sultan Muhammad Bello, was in charge. Sultan Muhammad Bello, gave him hospitality and everything. And they kicked it, and Muhammad Bello married his daughter to Sheikh Umar Futi. So you see the connection, and they all Fulani, right? Don't let that escape you. Continue. And but you see, uh, Sokoto Caliphate, the Sheikh Muhammad Bello, they're Qadariya. He's Tijaniya. The Tijaniya now are the largest Sufi tariqa in the African continent. And you see, but by their interaction, they ain't tripping like we trip. Like 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 us in the modern age, right? Somebody get another tariqa, you act like you got another religion. Like, you're not Muslim no more because you have another tariqa. We don't say that, but that's how we treat each other. We don't give each other we don't give each other our rights as Muslims because someone has another tariqa. And even those who say tariqa is bad, like the Wahhabis and stuff, they do the same thing amongst themselves. If you don't follow this group of Wahhabi sheikhs, then you off of it. And I'm going to treat you like a non-Muslim, even though that's not what I'm saying with my words. But I'm not even going to give you the rights of a Muslim because you off the minhaj. Negroes, we do the same thing, right? Alhamdulillah. So I just wanted to call that to your attention. Well, go ahead.
Bismillah. He then continued to travel across Mali, Senegal, Guinea, and the Gambia, gathering a large following of students and building an expansive network across West Africa before establishing his own empire in 1852, declaring jihad against the French colonizers and their non-Muslim allies.
And this is when he went to Gambia, right? And there's a detailed story about this. But no, I'm not going to give you all the detailed story. I'm just going to give you the summary. Detailed stories for those of you who are coming on the tour. But he had a major opening and a major unveiling, and it led him to a specific place in Gambia. And if you look on my Facebook page, and I took a few pictures. I didn't share all of the pictures. I took some pictures of this beautiful masjid by the water in a place called Gunjur, right? That's the place where he went. And they built that masjid around the place that he went. And I'll just leave it at that. So we're going to visit that place, inshallah. That place is known to have a lot of barakah. It has a lot of spiritual energy. People literally sleep there. People literally travel. It is ziyarah. They travel there and stay there for long periods of time doing, athkar and awrad and extra prayers and all of that right there. That spot. The masjid was built over the spot where he stayed at. But go ahead.
Bismillah. His jihad began with the conquest of Futa Toro in Senegal, and by 1862, his empire included Timbuktu, Messina, Hamdallahi, and Ségou in Mali.
And by the way, you see, he's a Sufi Sheikh, right? What is he doing? He's fighting jihad against oppressors and colonizers and stuff like this. And so, nowadays you see how people who claim the Sufi path, right? They are, assimilationists and pacifists, and they, enjoining the right and forbidding the wrong. They've taken it out of their deen, right? And they say this is Sufism. It's not the Sufism of your ancestors. This is not the It's not the Sufism of the first generation. This is not even Sufism. And as real Sufis always say, when you look, especially like during the colonial period, all of the people who raised the standard of resistance against colonizers were also Sufi sheikhs. Think about it, because usually when you think about people taking up arms who are Muslims, right? Your first inkling, or if you're open to propaganda, is that Sufis don't do that stuff, right? You may think of some Wahhabis, some so-called self-described Salafis, but what you're not really taking into consideration is that all of these people who are taking up arms, who are Wahhabis or self-described Salafis, they only fight other Muslims, or they fight or kill people in the name of Islam to make Muslims look bad. Like they'll kill some Christians praying. Like Muslims don't do that, right? But they make Muslims look bad, and we got to explain their nonsense, right? But for the most part, they fight other Muslims. The Sufis, who people say, don't fight at all, when you look historically, they were the ones who were fighting against the oppressors. People try to take their lands and enslave people and all of that. Those were the ones who were fighting, like this Sheikh right here, Sheikh Umar Futi Attar, fighting the French, who this is the middle of the slave period. He's fighting against slavery, literally. Who is he? Sufi. Continue.
Bismillah. He died on the 14th of February, 1864, and his nephew, Tidiane Tall, succeeded him as the Tukulur emperor, ruling alongside his son, Ahmadu Tall, who had been given authority of Ségou by his father. In 1890, the French marched on Ségou, and the empire was completely absorbed into the growing French West African colony. Only in November 2019 did the French government return the sword of Sheikh Omar Tall, which they had captured during the combat, to the Senegalese people.
And that actually made the news, and they were talking about it and all that kind of stuff. Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Monty, Farouk, Fatima, Tasha, Abdurrahim, all of you, Carl, all of you. Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. So this scholar, Sheikh Umar Tal al-Futi, and this empire is very important and very relevant for us, and we should get familiar with it and familiar with him. Alhamdulillah. And like we said on our tour in the Gambia, we intend to dig in a little bit to his story, especially when we visit the site where he visited and stayed for a while, inshallah. Continue.
Bismillah. Wasulu. The Wasulu Empire, sometimes referred to as the Mandinka Empire, was a short-lived empire established by the religious scholar Samori Torre from 1878 to 1898 after the defeat of Sheikh Omar Futital and the collapse of the Tukulor Empire. The territory of the empire was mostly in present-day North and Southeastern Guinea, but also included part of northeastern Sierra Leone, part of Mali, part of northern Ivory Coast, and part of southern Burkina Faso. Samori Torre was Mandinka and the son of Diula traders, and during the period of instability that followed the downfall of the Tukulor Empire, intertribal warfare increased, and his village fell victim to a raid by Sere Burle of the Sise clan, during which his mother was captured. In a show of filial piety and love, he exchanged himself for his mother. After arranging his mother's freedom, Samori was conscripted into the service of the Sise, where he learned the valuable skill of handling firearms. He then joined the Barete army, the enemies of the Sise, for 2 years.
Let me pause you. Let me pause you right there, because he mentioned, he said that he fell into intertribal war, and this is something, and this is just my personal opinion uh, about, you know, Allah's wisdom with regards to the slave trade and stuff like that. When you interact with Africans on a continent, even Muslim ones, you see that you see the reality and the dangers of tribalism. When I say tribalism, I mean al-Asabiyya, blameworthy tribalism, because they look at almost everything through the lens of tribe. You know how we say rose-colored glasses? They have tribe-colored glasses. And they look at us and they say, "Man, y'all see everything black and white, black, 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 white, 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 white." Right? A lot of them, they don't understand. They don't know black and white. They have tribe. They have they have tribe-colored glasses on, and we got black and white colored glasses on. Right? And so a lot of times they'll form an opinion upon someone just simply based upon tribe. And we can't appreciate that because we all mixed up in stuff like this. So, like for example, if you tell, if we meet in each other, and I tell you, and I ask you, what's your last name, and you tell me your last name is Johnson, right? And I tell you my last name is Jackson, right? That really don't mean nothing. There's a whole bunch of Jack Johnsons and Jacksons that ain't related to each other. What you have to understand in the African continent, it's not like that. One of the first questions that they're going to ask each other when they meet each other is, what's your surname? In other words, what's your last name? And when you tell them your last name, right, all the history or all what they know about that last name is going to come. And they're going to form a primary opinion of you. And they know that these people with this surname, they're known for this and they're known for that. And they're originally from this area. They know all of that just by, what's your last name? What's your surname? And if you read the tafsir of Surah 49, verse 13, where Allah says, "O mankind, verily we created you from a male and a female and made you into nations and tribes so that you may know one another. Uh, Indeed, the most honorable of you in the sight of Allah is the one who has the most taqwa. And indeed, Allah is all knowing, all aware." When that part of the verse is explained so that you may know one another, right? That is what they experience. This is what is supposed to happen. When you identify yourselves, people are supposed to be able to connect you to a group of people who are known for this or known for that, and they're supposed to be able to do the same thing with you. But we miss out on all of that because our lineage was cut off by means of the slave trade. So the point that I'm trying to make is that if you look in the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the affliction that Bani Israel had to undergo. In more than one place, I know at least one of those places occurs in Surah al-Baqarah. I can't remember exactly what verse off the top of my head. But Allah describes, remember, Bani Israel, killing the boys, letting the women live, everything that went along with that, right? Allah describes that as a bala'un, a major affliction, min rabbik, from your Lord. Meaning, he didn't say a major affliction from Pharaoh, a major affliction, a bala'un, from your Lord. So ultimately, as our Aqidah already informs us, that this affliction that Bani Israel went through is from Allah. He says, bala'un azim, a great affliction. That's genocide. That's what we would call it in modern day language. If you can look at that, and Allah Himself describes that affliction as coming from Him. When you look at the affliction of the slave trade and how people like myself and others were not only just physically taken from our natural homeland, the continent known as Africa, we had our nesib, our lineage taken away from us. We can't even trace ourselves back too far, right? That's a human right. That's one of the things that the Sharia comes to protect. That was taken away. More important than all of that, if you look at where most of us come from and when we came from those places, those primarily were Muslim areas. So regardless of what the statistics say, most of us were Muslim when we were taken from there. A major affliction. So that we had our deen taken from us, our deen, our lineage, and all of the things that are human rights taken from us. You would say, what could be the divine wisdom in all of that? Which is the point that I'm getting to. When me, myself, I don't know about anybody else whenever they go to Africa, but this is one of the things that always comes to my mind. Because that knowledge of tribe, clan was taken from us, we don't have that fitna to deal with, where we look at other people through tribe colored glasses, where I automatically don't like you because you're from the other tribe. And even a lot of Muslims, even good Muslims, they struggle with this. Because in Islam, we're supposed to, judge people based upon their outward and all that kind of stuff. A lot of them, they struggle with this. And if you're not, if your ear's not to the ground and you're not paying attention, you may not see it. But at one time you will see it on the African continent. It's election season. You think we get bad during election season? Woo! Almost anybody who's been to Africa, I don't care what country, they always talk to you about how good the people are and how hospitable and how good you get treated and all that kind of stuff. For the most part, right? A lot of us have those stories, regardless of what country you go to, right? But them sweet people, them hospitable people, when election season come, you see the N-word come out of them. And what I realized is not just about political parties like here, right? There, the political parties are covers for tribes. So you may say, okay, in this particular country, they have this type of governmental system and this type of, and they have a handful of political parties, right? And this party is the Labor Party, and this party is this, and this party is that. Yeah, whatever they say. Really, that party represents that tribe, and this party represents that tribe, and that party represents that tribe. That's what's really going on. So when you see them get that docile, you know, sweet African get all violent, and a lot of times it breaks out in violence in the street. What's underwriting that change in temperament and that violence is that tribalism. But we don't have that, at least not on that level, because the knowledge of our tribe was taken away from us. I think that's a blessing. We have different fitna to deal with, but we don't have that fitna. They, our brothers and sisters that are on the continent and raised on the continent, they have that fit. We don't have that one. Alhamdulillah. I just wanted to mention that because he mentioned intertribal warfare going on. And you would figure, Cise's that's a well-known family. That's almost like a tribe in and of itself. Right? There's I'm pretty sure a lot of us know people that name Cise. And don't get caught up on the spelling. All the Cises is same. They connected. I don't care if you spell it Ceesay or like it's spelled here Sisse with the little that same thing. They're not too particular, or they're not too. They don't really care how the stuff is spelled. Anyway, I'm sorry, Samira. Go ahead.
Bismillah. He then joined the Barete army, the enemies of the Cise, for 2 years after rejoining his people and swearing an oath to protect his people against the Barete, the Cise, and the French. He created a professional army and placed his close kith and kin, notably his brothers and childhood friends, in positions of command. Together they established the Wasulu Empire. In 1881, he secured control of the key Diula trading center of Kankan in modern-day Sierra Leone and extended his authority through the territory of present-day Guinea and Mali, from what is now Sierra Leone to northern Ivory Coast. In February 1882, a French expedition attacked one of his armies, and so Torre gathered an army of about 30,000 to 35,000 infantry and approximately 3,000 cavalry to fight them. In March 1891, the French launched a direct attack on Kankan. This forced him to flee south, where he attempted to build an anti-colonial alliance with the Ashanti Empire in Ghana, but failed when the Ashanti was defeated by the British in 1897. By 1898, he had lost almost all of his territory and fled into the mountains of the western Ivory Coast, where he was captured on September 29th, 1898 by the French, who then exiled him to Gabon. He died in captivity in 1900, and his empire is remembered as one of the most short-lived in the history of West Africa. Yet his great-grandson, Ahmed Sékou Touré, was elected as the first president of Guinea after it acquired independence from France in 1958.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And that's the end of that section right there. Alhamdulillah. 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 This is a good book. Alhamdulillah. So you kind of like get your beak wet and getting to know some names and some key facts regarding about a dozen or so African Islamic empires that probably most of us never heard of or never considered. You take Islam out of Africa, you don't even have Africa. Really, alhamdulillah. So, do y'all, any of y'all have any questions? I'm going down now, trying to see if I missed anything. Wa alaikum salam, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Malika. Wa alaikum salam, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Jada. Had a hard time getting in this class. SubhanAllah. Oh, mashallah. Oh, you an Aki. Okay, never mind. My profile name is Naeem. Okay, that's a brother. Okay. Naeem Abdul Hakim. Okay. Alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Zakaria and Isa. He just said, would you say that in our communities that colorism is sort of that tribal bias may come into play from slavery, of course, but the lighter skin, the softer hair wars encounter? Yeah, that might be the equivalent, sort of, kind of their tribalism, maybe. Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother Talib. But I think in our community, I just this is just uh, my assumption. I kind of think that the sisters deal with it more. Like light skinned sisters, when they go to school, when I'm talking about like elementary school, junior high school, and stuff like this. A lot of times they get picked on and beat up and beat up, and people, dark skinned girls trying to pull their hair, and dark skinned girls get complaints, from about the way they treated by light skinned girls and stuff like this. I don't know. In other words, I think that colorism issue is a lot more acute when it comes to for women. This is my this is just my assumption. Yes, Jackie, we're taking a group to Gambia on we're leaving June 18th. We're coming back July 5th. I think we return July 5th. And alhamdulillah, we intend to do that every year. The trip ain't gonna be that long every year. I think next year, I'm just thinking out loud after consult uh after consult my team. There is a team, not just me, myself and my wife. There is a team, right? I think the tour length should be about 10 days or so. We initially started with 2 weeks, and because of other, restrictions and flights, the time of year that we picked and stuff, we actually had to make it a couple of days longer. But yeah, that's just me thinking out loud. Every year, inshallah, Fatima. Inshallah, will this trip be repeated next year? Next year and every year, inshallah. We're trying to build that bridge. And we're going to be building over there too. We're going to be building uh, masjids, Islamic schools, boarding schools, and all of that there. MashaAllah, the sister mentioned the Ashanti tribe. My lineage is this, MashaAllah. Is it real hot over there? Uh, real. I don't know what you mean by real hot, but is it hot there? Yes. I was actually surprised when I came back to the United States yesterday. Like right now in Pittsburgh, the temperature is 63. But I remember I checked maybe about a week or so ago, I checked the weather over here, and a lot of places it was in the 80s. It was actually the same temperature where I was at in Gambia. I think in I think if you want to take the weather and compare it to places in the United States, I would name two places right away, Texas and Florida, even though I've never been to Texas and Florida, but just what people describe, I think is more comparable to those places. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, Gambia is a beautiful place. And I'm real happy about taking y'all there. Y'all got a treat. Y'all in for a nice treat. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, international Florida. That's one place Pittsburgh does have no shortage of flights going to. Florida, especially Fort Myers. Florida. Florida. I have no problem getting a flight from Pittsburgh to Florida. Because you got a lot of old people here. And a lot of old people got second homes and stuff in Fort Myers, Florida. A lot of times, they be taking flights going. Any questions? Does anybody have any questions about any of the Islamic empires, Caliphates, and all of these things that we mentioned? And Osamir, I want you to please announce about our ongoing fundraiser that we started from Ramadan. Uh, and also tomorrow morning, inshallah, Imam Amin is going to have another scattered thoughts, and I'll be joining him again. And we're going to be talking about the differences between Sunni Islam, technical name for Sunni Islam is Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'at, and Wahhabism or Salafism or what what they call themselves now, Salafi.
Bismillah. Alhamdulillah. Masjid al-Mu'min of Pittsburgh has extended its fundraiser. It originally started in Ramadan, but alhamdulillah, we extended the fundraiser because we did not reach our goal. Our goal is merely $10,000, and we just hit the halfway mark after Ramadan. So our fundraiser will last to the end of this month, and we encourage you to support um, this community. We found that maybe 90% of our supporters do not belong to Masjid al-Mu'min, but is our family, and we appreciate your donations. And so we encourage you to continue to donate. You have various ways to contribute. You can go to our Launch Good site, which is launchgood.com/we all we got, or you can pay via Cash App or our PayPal link or our Zelle link or uh, the old fashioned way, check and money order made out to masjidalmumin.org, Masjid al-Mu'min of Pittsburgh, rather. And the purpose of this fundraiser is to build um, a facility that will house different programs that we are looking into. In addition to our masjid, we want to build an extended location on the masjid property to be able to have more programs that's geared to dawah purposes, that's geared to encouraging our youth to be more active in the community, as well as other things. And so we have this vision of this project being completed so that we can do more things. And we're hoping this endeavor will encourage you all who do not live in Pittsburgh. You may want to be part of our community. You know, a lot of you have expressed that you don't have a community. The only community that you really have is online. Alhamdulillah for that. But there are opportunities for you to make hijrah. And so we understand that that's not an easy task. That's not an easy decision to make. And so we hope and we position ourselves where we can compel you to come, as far as like, okay, far as work, situations, like how you're going to make your money once you move here, what your housing status is going to be. So all that's inclusive. That is what our vision here at Masjid al-Mu'min. To believe it or not, we transplants. The people that are the movers and shakers of Masjid al-Mu'min is not from Pittsburgh. The new blood that came through Masjid al-Mu'min is the ones that made things happen, believe it or not. And it's sad because the people that are from here, they gave up. They did. They gave up. And they may be listening. And this is not to upset anybody, but they have given up because...
Not all of them.
No, not all. No. I'm talking about the one that's not there.
Yeah.
Shoot.
No, you got to say that. People from Pittsburgh, they're real sensitive. What do you mean? I'm putting in all this work. You trying to say all the people that put in work are transplants, right?
No. What I'm saying is a lot now. I'm talking about now. Because we always
talking
about...
you got some people that are active now that are from Pittsburgh.
Yes, they are active. I'm not talking about those people.
I know you're not talking about it. But Pittsburgh, they real sensitive. They might like, yo, they ungrateful. We working, right?
No,
you know how people are, right?
That's know how they are.
That in it, right?
I know how they are.
It should be obvious, not all, right?
Right.
That's why I made the phrase, not Orleans, right?
That's why
people are.
That's why I said 90% are not from Pittsburgh. That means the 10% that are active, I'm not including those 10%. So if you're in that 10% bracket, alhamdulillah, we appreciate you and we appreciate the work that you've put in.
Why it only got to be 10% though? See,
that's my numbers. I could be wrong. It could be high, it could be lower. Listen, let me stop. But we we love our family regardless. And if I'm sure that if they could do more, they can do more. But we got to keep this train rolling. Like we can't stop. And what hurts a community, and I'm sure this happens in a lot of Black communities, we hold on grudges. We hold on things that happened in the past. They may have been mistakes. We're human. We go on mistakes, but they'll hold on these grudges as an excuse not to continue to be active. And they fail to realize you're stopping your own growth by doing that. You got to do this for fi sabilillah. Everything is not going to go the way you want it to go. If it's for the sake of Allah and you love your community and you care about your community, you're going to get amnesia, like the Imam had mentioned, his advice from the advice that he was privy to. We got to get amnesia sometimes, and it's not easy because, people hold on grudges forever and nothing to happen. And some people are just so stubborn. They don't care if everything stops and Masjid al-Mu'min of Pittsburgh just discontinue from operating. They are okay with that. Okay. So those people need to stay away. Are you okay that Masjid al-Mu'min of Pittsburgh will stop operating? Then you need to stay away. We don't need you. We don't need your energy. But we do encourage those that do want Masjid al-Mu'min of Pittsburgh to flourish. We welcome you with open arms, and we welcome those who are not from Pittsburgh that may want to, make hijrah rather to Pittsburgh to make things work. I'm gonna leave you out with this. I was taught to sisters, and they would make the comment like, I want to go to a community where they have a school, they got a community, they doing stuff, they very active, yada 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 yada. I said that's good, but once you get to that community that's already established, already got the school, the infrastructure is there and all that, them people going to treat you like an outsider. Why? Because you weren't part of the building process. You came in after the fact. So a lot of us, we like to, once it's established, then they'll come. You know that saying, if you build it, they will come. No, you need to be part of the building because it's going to mean much more to you. You're not just going to let it, just crash and burn. But if you're coming from the outside and you don't like how things are going, I'm out of here, right? But you already gave your commitment that you're going to be there. You're not as committed as those that started from the ground up. So be part of the building process, even if you're not here to live to see it in fruition that is, totally completed. Be part of the building process, because you will forever, by Allah's permission, benefit from the Sadaqah Jariyah of building that community. So we got to think like that. We got to stop thinking selfishly. What can I get out of this? What are you giving to this? That should be the your mindset. And I'm just going to leave that there. But mashallah. So again,
Preach.
the ticker on the bottom.
Tabernacle.
I don't mean to preach. I'm very what's the word? What's the word? Passionate about community building. I'm very passionate about that. I'm very passionate about brothers and sisters coming together to be part of something that is necessary. This is a necessity. This is not an option. This is not something, we just trying to do something. No, this is a necessity. And we should be having that mindset wherever you're going. It don't have to be just here in Pittsburgh. You got Camden, you got Atlantic City. That should be the mindset of everyone. So with that being said, you want me to close out?
No, I want you to put Sister Imadi's question up on the screen.
Okay. Let's see here. And ma'am, I don't mean to get off topic, but what do African people think of Black people in America? Do they look at us as descendants or misfits?
There's not one answer to that question. It literally depends on who you talk to. I found this every place Africa I've been to. It depends on what they know and how much they know. And most of them don't know a lot about us. Even some of them that come here. Like, obviously we all know some people that are born and raised in Africa and live here. Even a lot of them don't know the history. So you're going to find some Africans that don't want nothing to do with us. They think we are misfits. And those people that think like that, like sometimes they even have names for us. Well, I think the most famous comes out of Nigeria. They call it Akata. You know what an Akata is? It's the same word they use for like a wild animal. And I always tell the story. The first time I actually heard that being used was from an old movie, Sugar Hill with Wesley Snipes. How many of y'all remember that movie? Sugar Hill, Wesley Snipes. Any of y'all remember that movie? Who remembers that movie? In that movie, Wesley Snipes is a drug dealer up in Harlem. And they basically are working for the Italians. Now, that's a different movie, Zachariah. Man, you showing your age, man. But they tried to get a new drug connect. And this drug connect was from Nigeria. And so they're meeting at the club trying to work out the details. And so the plug, see, Wesley Snipes' brother is the one that's making all of these moves. And so Wesley Snipes' brother puts together this meeting with this Nigerian drug connect. And the drug connect is like, yeah, everything sounds good. And he has a West African accent, but he says, I just can't. We can't do business with Akata, right? And Wesley Snipes is like, and he said it more than once. And Wesley Snipes is like, what is this Akata stuff you're talking about? He said, African American, black cotton picker, right? Then Wesley Snipes hit him and you know beat him up a little bit, right? Whatever. That's my first time hearing that term used by Africans towards African Americans. But now we have social media. If you go to Nigerian Twitter or Facebook or whatever social media, you see them throwing that around all the time. Like, for example, if you go in their spaces, right? And like, say, for example, is a Nigerian dude, he's living in America, right? And he may have, for example, an African American girlfriend, right? You'll find there's people back in Nigeria, especially women, be like, won't you leave that Akata girl alone? You know you can't bring her home. Like, you know, why you messing with them for? They, you know, this what kind of flack that they would have for even dealing with us. You know, actually, I even saw a movie that played this out. I can't even remember the name. It was because you know on Netflix you have a lot of movies because Nigeria got their own like Hollywood. I think they call it Nollywood. They got a lot of movies. If you watch one of them on Netflix, a whole lot of them will start showing up when you search for movies on Netflix. But in one of those movies, this stuff was even played out. I can't even think of the name of it. This dude was running through a whole bunch of girls, and his mother came to. He went to visit his mother, and his mother, you know, tried to get him to, you know, get married. And I don't even think this Nigerian was Muslim. I think it was like Christian, and uh, he was really in love with the African American, but his mom wasn't having it. No, you will marry this good Nigerian girl. Will not marry that Akata. Yeah, so you got that extreme. You have that extreme because the same people that feed us propaganda here in America. Because think about it, a lot of us we've been fed false information about Africans. They're in the jungle. They don't wear clothes. They swing from trees with wild animals and stuff. We've been taught that about them. So the Europeans, white folks who's controlling the propaganda, they feed us crazy stuff about them, and they're doing the same thing with them over there, feeding them bad information about us. So some of them think that the African Americans, our origin is that a group of our ancestors said, you know what, we ain't African no more. We going to America and we African American and we totally denounce and renunciate our African heritage and history. Believe it or not, some of them were told that. I was shocked when I heard that. Like they tell y'all that we voluntarily came over here and uh gave up being African. Like somebody actually said that. Like yeah, I'm like Subhanallah. That's that's over the top line. Number one, we didn't come here voluntarily, most of us, right? And so I think what you will find with most people, though, Africans on the continent, is that they love us and they treat us like extended family, especially the Muslims, and especially if you get a chance to conversate and dialogue with them and tell them the history of Black people in America. I get it all the time. Whenever I'm able to like have a like long in-depth conversation and tell them about our history and how we got there and what we had to go through and what we still go through. There's always like when the light goes on, they're like, "Are you serious?" Black African Americans went through all of that, and here you are, a Muslim today. Like it like increased their iman. Like, whoa, wait a minute, they took Islam from me, right? And they'll look at you on your phenotype and be like, "No, yeah, you Mandinka, yeah, you Hausa, yeah, you Ashanti." Yeah, you Fulani. They'll look at you, your phenotype, and like, yeah, yeah, you this, you that, right? And like, your people is Muslim, but you had to take Shahada. Your parents are not Muslim. And your parents had to go through all of that. And Allah brought you back to Islam. And then when you go on a continent, it's like, and Allah brought you back home. They look at you like, subhanallah, like, wow. Like, it's like amazing. And if you really think about it, it is amazing. Not that, not that it makes us amazing, but just as individuals, but collectively, it's like, wow. And so, you know, that's on the, so I'm giving you both extremes, right? People calling you names and thinking you are like a wild animal and don't want nothing to do with you. Then on the other extreme, it's all love. Then you have everything in the middle. You have everything in the middle. It's all based upon uh the lie they've been told about us and how extensive was the lie. So just like a lot of us, we need to be educated about them. They need to be educated about us. And just like we need to learn our own history, they need to learn their own history. I always say that. That's why education is so important. That's why these tours are important. Because we're going to be interacting. We ain't going to be just like all to ourselves and don't talk to nobody. All of us, we're going to be kicking it with the people we come across. And that's an opportunity for them to learn about us and you to learn about them and make connections and all of that. So, but I know in Gambia, it's going to be all love. Especially they're going to like, because, you coming over there with American money. They're going to love you. I know, like me, for example, when you get a haircut, right? Like what we paying for, what men are paying for haircuts now? $25, something crazy like that, $30. I remember you get a haircut for $7. This is a shame. In Africa, I'm not in Africa, in Gambia, a haircut costs $1. A haircut costs $1. And that's too much. Like a haircut in Gambia is like $35. If you want some extras done to it, then maybe $50. $50 is the equivalent. Well, now $50 is uh less than $1. And so now I get a haircut, I give them at least 100. That's like, yo, that's a lot. Like, it's nothing. Here, take it. That's just the way I get offended if you try to hustle me and tell me the price is one thing and it's another. But if I know the price and I'm voluntarily giving more, like this is my contribution. I know it's hard for you out here. Alhamdulillah, take it. Alhamdulillah. So was that the last question? Samira, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Was that the last question?
I'm looking. I think you covered everything.
Yeah, I think that's everything. I just finished scrolling too. Alhamdulillah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase us all in knowledge. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase us in knowledge of self and knowledge and in knowledge of other than ourselves in accordance with the ayat of Quran when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, lead to arafu so that you may know. May Allah make us compliant with that verse from his book and make us the embodiment of that verse. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase the love that we have for ourselves. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said when he was asked, is it al-asabiyah that a person loves his own people? And he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no. Al-asabiyah is when a person helps his own people in wrongdoing. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us not be of those who practice al-asabiyya by helping our own people in wrongdoing, but may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala place and create and increase the love that we have for our people among us and make it grow and get stronger so we can treat ourselves, we can treat each other like family and not strangers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once again increase us in knowledge. Rabbana zidna ilma. May Allah increase us in knowledge. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Allah surah. Innal insana la fi khusr. Illa alladhina amanu وعملوا صالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.